Hey guys, Real Rich Talks. I'm Richard Brew, and we're here to talk about real estate, a little bit of adulting, and life. Today we are talking about the NAR, the National Association of Realtors settlement, right? It's been in the news, everyone's watching it, and I'm here to kind of give my feedback on it. I'll definitely give you guys the facts, the straight up facts, and also my opinion of what's going to happen in the next few months, years. So first, the facts, right? This is a fact. There's no one can dispute these things. I'm looking at my notes because I got notes. All right, so the key terms of the settlement, right? NAR, National Association of Realtors, announced an agreement that would end litigation of claims brought on behalf of home sellers related to broker commissions. That's one. The two, the settlement is subject to court approval, so it's still going through the court systems. It's settlement doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen, but most likely it will happen. And NAR continues to deny any wrongdoing, and NAR is going to pay $418 million over approximately 4 years. So that's the key terms of the settlement, right? For those that don't know, a little background. So most realtors, no, not most, all realtors are members of the NAR, and the NAR, your local MLS, like let's say I'm in Pinellas County, for example, Pinellas Realtors Organization is a member of the NAR. As a result, I'm also a member of the NAR, and I'm a realtor, but you don't have to be a realtor to be an agent. So just kind of a little clarification, and I might have gotten that wrong, but anyways, this is what I understand of it. Let me know in the comments if I'm completely wrong. All right, let's keep going. So that means that I have to abide by what this settlement says and by what the courts will say here in, I believe mid-July is when they're talking about everything going through. All right, so that's the key terms of settlement. Let's continue. All right, the big changes, the three big changes. Number one, cooperative commission is no longer required. It remains optional and can no longer be advertised in any MLS fields or any third-party system using MLS data. All right, so in MLS, what happens is we as realtors put what commission the listing agent's going to get and what commission the buyer's agent's going to get. What the settlement says is that no longer we're allowed to put, agents are not allowed to put that information in the MLS. All right. Number two, the other big change, the second of the three big changes, all realtors and MLS participants must have a buyer broker agreement executed prior to any touring, and final compensation cannot exceed what is agreed to go in the BBA. All right, this is big, guys. So before, buyers would contact me, or I would contact buyers, and they would be interested in seeing a home. I had the option as a realtor, had the option to get a buyer's broker agreement signed beforehand, right? So with this new settlement, what it's saying is before I show any buyer a home, I must have a BBA, a buyer's broker agreement, signed. That's great for me, honestly, because there's a lot of tire kickers out there that just want to see a home, or they're like in town and they want to look. So anyways, I'm not going to get into it, but the point is it's going to be very efficient for me. So I'm super excited about that piece, right? In addition to that, even if they say, hey, I don't want to deal with a buyer's agent, right? Either way, the agent that is listing the home, right? The listing agent, if they are a member of NAR, National Association of Realtors, then they have to get a buyer's broker agreement signed with that buyer. So regardless, buyers are not going to get away from having a buyer's broker agreement signed. See, that's a key point there, right? All right. So next, the third big change is, since all commission amounts are not negotiated with each party prior to the offer, the amount of seller contribution to buyer's commission can be negotiated in the purchase contract. All right, that sounds like a lot of stuff, right? All right, here's what's going on. So the listing agreement is between the listing agent and the seller, right? And you have the buyer and the buyer's agent, right? So what's going to end up happening is the buyer is going to negotiate with the buyer's agent. Hey, buyer's agent, I will give you 2, 3, 4, whatever percentage or a flat fee for you to represent me as a buyer, right? Okay, so that means that the buyer will have to pay that commission to the buyer's agent, all right? Follow me so far? So that's an added expense for the buyers. Some people are saying that's great, right? Okay, it could be great, right? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to pan out, all right? So the next piece of it is you can negotiate that the seller pay for the buyer's agent's commission. You guys follow me so far? If you're not, say, hey, Rich, I don't know what the heck you're talking about, and put it in the comments. So it could be negotiated as part of the offer to the seller that the seller will pay the buyer's agent's commission. Is it going to happen? I don't know. We don't know how this thing's going to pan out. All right. So those are the big 3 changes, right? Keep going on my notes here. Seems like a lot. All right. So those are big changes. Those are key components of the settlement. What do I think is going to happen? So I believe that this was meant to help the consumer. It was meant to lower potentially the price of homes. I do not think that's going to happen. Let me give you an example. As a seller, right? As a seller, do you really think that sellers are going to lower their asking price by 3% because now they do not have to pay that 3% to the buyer's agent, potentially? I don't think so. I think sellers will always want top dollars for their home, just like buyers want to get the lower amount, pay the lowest amount for that home, right? So it's these two kind of like pieces working, not against each other, but working here, all right? So who's going to pay that buyer's agent's commission, right? That's a big question. So now you're asking for, and you're looking nationwide, people are having a hard time, especially first-time home buyers, with down payments. You know, they're having a hard time with closing costs, right? So now you're asking buyers to also pay potentially the buyer's agent's commission. I don't know. I don't think that fares well for buyers, period. I do think that the only people that are going to benefit from this in the long run is not the consumer. It's going to be, agents are still going to benefit. You know, we're still going to do what we have to do. Investors is going to work great for investors, right? It's going to work great for lenders. I'm pretty sure lenders are going to come out here and have new products. You know, it's going to work great for, when I say lenders are going to have new products, the question is, can now I roll my buyer's agent commission into my loan? I don't know. I'm not a lender. That's a question for you lenders out there. If you got an opinion on that, put it in the chat. All right, so you got that. What about title companies? I don't know how it's going to affect title companies, but the point I'm making is that it's not going to benefit, in my opinion, the consumer at all. This is not going to make a huge difference to the consumer. And for those that think, you know, that, oh, well, as a buyer, I don't have to get an agent. You're right, you don't. This has always been around, you know, for sale by owners has always been around, right? Where sellers can sell their home on their own. But that's not the majority of transactions that occur. The majority of transactions in real estate are not made by FSBOs, for sale by owners, right? So now you as a buyer are attempting to represent yourself, which you can do. You know, it's not that it's not difficult. It's kind of like, this is my analogy of it. There's something wrong with me, right? I might be sick or whatever. I have a headache, earache, whatever. I go to WMD. I Google it. Hey, these are my symptoms. And then I'm like, oh, well, it could be all these things that could potentially happen to me. I could get it wrong. I could get it right. You know, so it's a toss-up. I'm not a doctor, right? I go to the doctor when I have illnesses because the doctor's the expert. In this case, the agent is an expert, right? Most of the time, a lot of times. There's some agents that just flat out suck. But anyways, that's okay. Those agents, I believe, will phase themselves out, and you'll be left with much better agents and a much better service to consumers. But I went on a little bit longer than anticipated. Let me know what you guys think. You know, there's a lot still that we need to uncover. And disclaimer, I should have put this in the beginning, but disclaimer, I haven't read the full 180 pages. This is information that I have based on conversations with other agents and based on my brokerage, what they put out, which was really good information. All right, guys, subscribe, like. All right, see you on the next one.